the Chase Thomas podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
That you're not sitting there looking at like, all right, we've invested in this guy in spring practice, but he felt like he was running too much with the second team, so he's going to leave after we got him in January,
And then interesting too, though, like Kamal Hadden's probably our best spring story in the Hypel era, right? Like the best spring transfer, I guess, at this point, would you say?
Yeah, what's fascinating with Kamal Hadden was, I think, going into spring practice last year, the feeling that most people had was that Kamal was leaving. He was going to be another springtime transfer. He had, wild horse rider on the field, right, and seemed to be out of control, wasn't popular by anybody, and he went out in spring practice, and he was the best defensive back Tennessee had out there. Now, they had some guys beat up, and didn't go through, but he was the best corner that they had. And so we stayed around, and you look back at last year and you talk about the safety position, you talk about the secondary, and you talk about this, that. There were 70 yards difference in what they gave up when Kamal Hadden was on the field versus when Kamal Hadden was not on the field because he was hurt.
Yeah.
Go back and look. I mean, without Kamal Hadden, Kentucky's throwing it all around the place. But early in the year, Kamal Hadden, and I think Tim Banks could play defense differently. Roll safety coverage to the other side because you felt like that Kamal Hadden had one side covered, one-on-one by himself. And I think it changed some things when Kamal Hadden was not out there. He was a lot more valuable. And obviously he's really talented because he went and worked out for 3 days in a Chiefs minicamp and walked away with a multi-million-dollar contract as a 6th-round pick or whatever he ended up being. I mean, like, he clearly impressed them very early in the first minicamp deal, or OTAs, whatever they call them now, that he went through, and he got a deal out of it. Very talented kid who's matured a lot. I mean, I think he was playing really well when he got hurt last year, really well.
And he handled I was in the building for the South Carolina game where obviously everything really turned for him in that way. But I think, what was it, Austin P? Or which one where he actually got booed by the fans when his name popped up? Which game was that? Was that Austin P?
It might have been. I don't remember.
But I mean,
yeah.
To think about, that's where he was at one point, and I think people just really could not overlook. I think the Florida game was etched in stone for a lot of people, like the missed tackles and some of the stuff where it was just, I think that just like really, really stuck with people. And it's like week over week, it's like, no, Kamal's actually really good. And then I think the pick six in the South Carolina game was like, Kamal is a household name. And it was just, I think, a testament to Kamal to be able to handle that. Because I think a lot of kids might not have handled that as well as Kamal did, to get booed by your own fans and your name comes up on the video board, and to kind of use that as motivation and fuel and just be like, nope, I'm just going to be the best corner, get drafted. Now I have a multi-year deal with the 2-time defending NFL champions, and it's pretty good. And he seems like he has like everything is all good on the Tennessee front with the fans and everything. So I don't know. I think Kamal, it's just one of those really, really interesting stories at Tennessee over the last several years. I think he might be the most interesting defensive player in the Hypel era, just in terms of where all the turns and that he kind of took here at Knoxville.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I think that when you go and look at his production and you look at the defense's production when he was on the field versus when he wasn't, particularly in 23, it speaks for itself. You know, I mean, it's not like they played 3 Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, the back half of the season after he got hurt.
Yeah.
And a couple of those quarterbacks, a couple of those teams lit him up pretty good, without him, lit him up pretty good. And so he was missed. There's no doubt about that. And so we'll see what happens with, with that secondary in general, but I think that's a guy that we probably didn't talk about the impact of his injury last year, what it meant to the defense, because I think it certainly had an effect.
I think that's the other thing. It's like, if they're healthy, I think they're fine. Like, I think if Jamad and Ricky are healthy, if you have the back end's healthy, if Jordan Thomas and Blue Carter are both able to stay on the field, like, that's nice. Like, that's kind of what you want, is them both to be healthy and to ease Blue Carter into it. And Jordan Thomas has been good when he's been available. I think the health in the back end will be paramount. And I also just like, when you look at Jakobe Thomas and stuff like that, it's like, it's the same thing. Wesley Walker wasn't on everybody's radar when he came in from Tech, former 3-star, obviously, a Nashville kid, but like, he became really, really good. PFF, highly graded kid, was really good, played a lot of snaps, and turned into a really good, trustworthy guy. So I think Jakobe can do that same kind of thing where I don't think this staff has really missed on a lot of these kind of guys and bringing them in. And I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt in this way.
Well, and I think when you look at Tennessee in general, that I mean, you can argue that few schools around the country have used the transfer portal better
Yeah.
than the University of Tennessee has. I mean, you can argue Tennessee's used it as well as anybody or the best of anybody in the country
Mm.
when you look at it. And I'm talking about in all sports. I don't just mean football. I mean, obviously Dalton Connect, but you see what Tony Vitello's done with the transfers that he's brought into his program and the impact that they've made. Rakia Jackson was the best player the Lady Vols had. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't close.
Yeah.
You know, softball brings in, I mean, they go to the College World Series a year ago with a shortstop from Oklahoma, you know, and they had transfer pitcher, transfer catcher this year. They got them to the supers. And so you just look at the transfers that have come in at Tennessee. I think the head coaches on this in this department, in this athletic department, have embraced the portal.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.